Hey everybody, welcome to Awkward Conversations. We're Seth and Saundra Dunn, and we have fun choosing topics that are a bit awkward, either between us or in our culture or among Christians, and having a conversation about them. So today we've chosen a topic that I'm actually pretty excited about most of our topics that we choose, but we're going to talk about parenting. Yeah,
Yes,
because we're parents.
we are. And can I just say we're successful?
Just ask our kids.
No, but seriously, we do.
Yeah.
Like we raised great kids. We raised kids who had moments where they did dumb stuff, but truly, I had some probably rebellion here or there kind of thing, but just not like full on and rebellion. And to be fair, I understand maybe our kids just didn't have that rebellious personality, or maybe we did a great job, or maybe it's the grace of God. I don't know. Like,
Combinations of all that.
It's interesting because it's easy for me to go, we did great, right? But the reality is we did do a good job. We listened to God, we followed our words, etc.
Yeah.
But to then say, if you have kids that are in a current rebellious phase, or you have kids who are not doing the right thing, like to say you were a terrible parent is not fair either, because we have obviously humans, individuals with their own personality, their own behavioral systems, the way they learn how to do things, the way they learn what not to do, what to do. Like, you know, I would never say that somebody who has kids who are struggling or in rebellion, that they would, you know, I would never classify them as not good parents.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to talk about good parents versus terrible parents, but we are trying to talk about how to parent in a really good way.
Yeah. And, this also is not about, we did not do everything perfect. And yet we ended up with great kids.
Right.
And so just to give people perspective as well, we were in our early 20s when our son was born. And then 6 years later, 6 years later, our daughter was born. Now, those two, son and daughter, are now married. And it's fun to watch them now. So here we are. We're far enough down the road, I feel like. We've got enough water behind us, so to speak, that we can look back and we can say, yeah, we did a pretty good job. Because now we're watching our kids be young adults, but quite honestly, they're kind of even knocking on that, middle age kind of thing is going to be here before any of us want to admit, because what are they going to say about us?
It's crazy.
But here they are married and doing a good job at being married, and they're parents, and they're doing a good job parenting themselves.
And they parent very differently.
Yeah, sure.
And one is just barely a parent, so we'll see how she and
what that looks like. Yeah.
But our son has been a parent for 13 years. And I can see already how different our son and daughter-in-law are going to parent compared to our daughter and son-in-law. Yeah. And again, that's important.
It is important. That's a really good...
I think while you parent according to the way your kid is built, I think we also parent according to the way we're built.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So we see things differently. We value things differently. And it's fun to watch with our kids.
So I think from that statement, and you can say if you agree, remember, if you haven't watched any of these, we don't plan these. We choose a topic, and then we both come into it with our thoughts. Yeah. So I'm going to present something.
And we often disagree.
Yeah, which is part of the fun. So you may or may not disagree with this, but this video is not so much about here is a plan and a structure and a system, parent exactly this way. You can't do that because of what she just said. Every child is different. Every parent is different. Our culture is changing and shifting and so forth. So this is more about principles that transcend all that, in my opinion. Things that you can do to win as a parent.
Or I would say this is about helping people see and understand what's important.
Yeah, there you go.
As a parent, these are the things to be aware of where they go. Mm-hmm. These are the things to value. These are the things to uphold in your parenting.
Yeah. Can I give an example? Because I can't. Okay, so moving on. No, here's an example that I think feeds into this. I have seen parents, and again, this is not me making a judgment on them because I don't know their kids, but I've seen parents that just gave their kids, when they got to that proper age, they gave them a curfew. That's just what we do. We just give them a curfew. We did it different. We looked at our kids and we said, listen, we're not going to give you a curfew until there's a moment where we see that you need one.
If there's a moment.
If.
That we see you need one.
Right.
If you can't understand how valuable your sleep is to your grades, to your life, then we'll help you see the value of sleep and get you home and in bed sooner. Right.
Yeah.
But they didn't need that. We would have given that if it was a need. But I think the value system here is, you don't do things as a parent just because your best friend's doing it, just because other Christians are doing it, just because you think
culture says it. Yeah.
Culture, whatever. No, you choose how you're going to parent your kids based on what's needed in the moment.
Yeah.
And according to the way they're built. Scripture says, train up a child in the way they are bent, the way they're already gonna go, train them in that avenue, in that pathway.
Yeah.
And that's the way you parent. So
yeah. To bring that in a little bit, that curfew comment was when they got older. Now, when they were younger,
they had bedtime.
They had bedtimes and so forth. Now, we had one child that really did benefit from having a bedtime. We had another child who came to us and shocked us one night and said, "Can I please go to bed?" So every kid's different, right? That child probably didn't need a bedtime as much at that stage.
Right.
So to your point, pay attention, right?
How are they built?
And how are they built? What do they need to guide them forward into being? Train up a child in the way they should go. Well, what is the way they should go? The way they should go would be all kinds of concepts that are godly. Here's how God would have us go because it's good for us. So you train a child in that. And every child's going to need a little different training.
Right.
That's part of the fun and yet challenge of parenting. Can I reinforce this? Because I think your point there was so important, that you pay attention to what's needed in the moment, is how she said it. Because, come on. You said it the other day to somebody that if we were parenting today, we would be facing challenges and issues that we didn't face. And specifically what was being addressed is screen time. There were some parents we were with, and they were talking about, what do we do with our kids that are one is an early teen. So junior high, middle age.
Junior high, apparently it's not a thing anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so funny. I've been talking, and every junior higher that I say something to, they're like, "You mean middle school?" I'm like, hard.
Okay, yeah. I guess that transition's been happening for a while. But yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, but they're middle school age.
Yeah. And they're coming up on summer break. And the mom was like, the question was, are you looking forward to summer? Well, yes, but we're trying to figure out how to manage screen time. And we were like, oh, wow, yeah. So we never had to face that. But nonetheless, there are things that parents don't face now, but we did.
Sure.
And consequently, it goes back to what you just said. What is needed in the moment?
Yeah.
And it's going to be not just, gosh, I know we keep saying this, but I think it's a good one. What does that child need?
Mm-hmm.
I think we wanted to talk about some of this kind of stuff because we do, you see ebbs and flows in culture, in thought process. I just really encourage you, don't just go with groupthink. Mm-hmm. Don't just go with culture because culture says, oh, this is the new thing. I am not a fan of abusing children at all. But to knee-jerk, clear to the side that you can never spank a child, listen, some kids need a spanking once in a while. In love, done properly, healthy, in a way that it educates and trains them and truly adjusts, behavior and process, right? We just want to be careful to listen to what God says and follow it and not just go with culture. Man, I made a huge, broad statement there that we can't unpack completely in this video.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think I just want to throw out a an idea of how to spank a child in a good, healthy way. Because I remember somebody saying to me, here's how you spank a child. It's not, you crazy kid, whack.
No. No.
It's not in the heat of the moment. It's
Right.
not like just reach over. The other thing is the over abuse of just reaching over and pop them on the butt. Like that doesn't do much of anything, right?
No, I agree. Yeah.
There's a technique. There's a way to spank your child well. And that is, one, make sure that you're chill. Like, I'm not angry.
That's really important.
I'm going to do this because it needs done. 2, you take your child, you take them to wherever you spank them. I was never a fan of just spanking your child willy-nilly in whatever room. So we would go to the bathroom. I would say to them, I ask you to do this, and you chose to do what? Have them tell me, what did they do? Okay. Because you didn't obey, the consequence is a spanking. And that's the other thing. There's so many tips and techniques that I learned from others.
Sure.
But it wasn't my own genius, sadly. I did have
There were some things.
but that's the other thing is it's easy to, I lost my train of thought. It's easy to think you should just like smack your kid wherever for whatever, but they need to know what they did wrong. And so I would make sure, what did you do? And then I would spank them 2 or 3 swats, not excessive. I would be on the bottom. We had one incident that I can't tell the story of right now. We just don't have time. But it would be on their bottom, spank them, and then I would turn to them and say, now, what do you... Obviously, we train them to say, I'm sorry, I did that wrong, whatever. And then I would say, I love you, it's forgiven, no big deal. And I would not say, when your dad gets home, you're going to get it. You know, like we didn't ever double discipline. Right. If they've been disciplined, it's over, it's done. I would say, I love you. I would give them a big hug. And we went on about the day and everything was just back to normal.
Yeah.
The other thing is have a reason to spank your child. Like it's easy.
Seems obvious, but
It's easy to just think I need to spank him for everything. Or I don't spank him for anything, and then you don't spank him at all. And I just think when it comes to spanking, I think there's a way to do it that's healthy that I just described. The other thing is I had specific, when they straight up rebelled, looked at me and said no, and then did what they wanted. Rebellion equaled spanking for us. That was one of the things. Straight up disobedience, similar to rebellion. Other things that they would do, I would come up with all kinds of other ways to discipline.
Absolutely.
You don't need to spank for everything.
You're looking for that way to connect with the child, right?
Those big rebellious moments.
Yeah.
So it's not like if you're spanking your kid, even doing it the way I described, and you're doing it 3 times a day,
well,
something's going on. Like that's not cool.
I mean,
right?
it might not even be 3 times a year. You know, it just kind of depends
on the kid. Sure, depends on the kid. But I mean, it was definitely more than 3 times.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying you were headed to the point of find ways to connect with that child, to train them.
Right? Yeah, you're training them. And so you're helping them learn. You have to think about it of, I'm helping this tiny human become a grown-up. That's the other thing. You're training them to become independent of you, or
that's kind of crazy, right? It is.
Right? You're not trying to train them. I know so many moms who are training their kid to be dependent on them.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is sick and wrong. Like so bad, right? You need to be working towards helping your kid become independent of you in the sense that they can live life if anything happens to you.
Yeah.
This isn't supposed to be exactly a parenting class, but there's so many things that when we talk about parenting, there's so many things I want to share. But let's talk about what are the values and the key things that as a new parent you should be considering instilling in your kids or helping them become. I think helping them become independent from you is important.
So
And it doesn't mean that they don't need you at all. It means that when they become adults, it's an interdependence where they call you, hey, Dad, I was thinking about this, or hey, Mom, I wondered about this. Like, you still have that interaction, but there's not any kind of control. Like, if my daughter calls and says, what do you think about this? And I give her my thoughts, and then she does the complete opposite. She's an adult. Like, I'm not going to be like, why didn't you do what I said? Right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to give you my thoughts, and you're going to do what you will with them.
So the value there would probably be train them how to make good decisions.
Sure.
Right? Keep in mind, your job is not to make them like
becoming a healthy adult.
Right.
How do I get this kid to become a healthy adult?
Yes.
Making good decisions,
Absolutely.
being independent, not needing me, but also having a relationship with me.
Being responsible, I think even just things like, and we example this for our kids, but we also can do things to train it into them, but encourage them to be kind to others, right? I mean, some of this is obvious. Like one of the things as a parent you want to do, which I think speaks to the value system then of the child, is you want them always to feel loved.
Yes.
Right? Even in the midst of discipline, even in the midst, what if a child makes a really bad decision? That doesn't make, you want them to feel loved in the process of correcting it, right? Because bad decisions happen.
Yeah.
There's rebellion in all of us. I mean, how often does God still, or even Saundra, she'll come to me. And I hope I do this for you.
I have rebellion.
Oh, well, I don't know if you have rebellion, but no, I was going to say, she'll say things to me
every day
that help me, right? You do things for me that help me go, oh, wait. Yeah, no, that really is a negative thought, or that really is this or that. So it's rebellion of sense. Sure. You help point out in me. We do this for each other as humans. It's just that as a husband and wife, but certainly as parent to child, you have a lot of voice in their life, right? You have authority, so to speak. And part of that authority means, man, that child should feel loved by you. Now, did we always do that perfect? You did it better than I did, I think, at times. There, as a parent, one of the things you notice or recognize is, oh, wow, I've got a lot of anger or a lot of selfishness, or, those things come out. Pride. You got to own some of that.
If you're embarrassed by your kid throwing themselves on the floor in the supermarket cereal aisle and pitching a fit because they don't get the cereal they want, and you're embarrassed, might be a little pride. I'm not saying it's it's comfortable,
and you don't let them continue it,
and you don't just let
because
them
that's not
lay there and do that.
Healthy for them.
But I do think a lot of times parents discipline and don't discipline well because they're proud or they're embarrassed.
Yeah,
and I just think if you're embarrassed by your kid, that's a problem.
Yeah,
I don't think God is ever embarrassed by us as a parent. Now, does he have moments where he's like, "Oh, what are we doing, guys?" Right, sure. Of course.
Yeah.
But,
So we've taken on a huge topic here, but listen.
We might have to do a second.
We might. But if we can help our children feel loved, if we can recognize the fact our job is to train them.
To be healthy adults.
Not to demand that they behave properly. Our job is to train them. Those are different thoughts. So teach them how to become good adults. And man, there's so many fun ideas around some of that.
Yeah.
And then I had a third thing, and I don't know where it went. A third one was in there, and it disappeared. Because I got so excited because I was thinking about some of the examples. Like, you couldn't do this with every child, but both of our kids at 16, we sat them down and said, okay, now even our world and culture is telling you that you're becoming an adult. Like, you have a driver's license now. You can go drive. You got freedom. You've got responsibility. So at 16, we sat both of our kids down and said, okay, your decisions are now yours. Now run them by us, bounce them off of us, get input from us. But let's spend these last couple of years while you're in high school helping you really actually make good decisions.
Good decisions. And in the midst of peer pressure, while you're at school, on your own, in friend groups, how are you going to do making decisions without me saying you have to do this, you can't do that?
Right.
Like, it was very much an intentional, okay.
Yeah. Here.
How about it? And, like we said,
we were still right there. You
still have to do the chores around the house. You still have to,
still have to be a good human.
Dishes. And this is part of being part of this household. Is there's some things you still have to do. But you also are 16, and so we're going to let you make your decisions.
Start making adult decisions.
And that way, we're right here. If you make a terrible one, we can still assist.
We can help you walk it through.
If you're making great ones, we can encourage you, help you see that you're making great decisions. And our kids were great at that process. It was hilarious. When I sent my son, I would do this on their 16th birthday in the morning, right? This was my ritual. So 16, my son, I sit down, I say to him, okay, from here on out, you're on your own to make your decisions. I just want you to know, I still expect you to help around the house, do your chores. I still expect you to be in touch with us, let us know where you are and when, that kind of thing, like minor stuff. But you get to choose what you will do and what you won't do. And he just looks at me like, okay. 16-year-old boy. He wasn't like over the top, over the moon about it. He's just like, okay, Mom, whatever. Like it's very casual. And my daughter, on the other hand, her response was, what? Like almost scared. Like, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I can do this. And she didn't say that, but her face was all like, what? What? Okay. And I was like, it's okay.
You're not on your own. It's okay.
But it's just fun to see the difference in their responses. But I do think that is a healthy practice. And if you've got kids who are 14 and they've been a disaster and they're already in big trouble.
Maybe you can't do this.
Yeah. But if you've got young kids and you're training them really well now, by the time they get to 16, you should be able to say, okay, have at it.
Well, right? and even, I'll even take exception to that because some children, even doing that, are just going to push the limits more. They're just that personality.
But that's part of the process. That's part of them learning.
So you may not be able to, at 16, turn them loose quite like this. But here's the thing I'm confident in. You, as a parent, have the Spirit of God in you to give you ideas and creativity that even if it's a child that just pushes every limit for whatever reason, personality, whatever, you as a parent are going to have creative ideas on how to walk them through this journey of becoming an adult.
Right. So let me say this last thing, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, we need to wrap this up.
From the time my kids were little, I would say to them, I'm anointed for this job. God gave you to me to be your mom. He gave you specifically to me because I'm anointed to be your mom.
Right.
Now, that could sound very religious and very cocky. Mostly I was saying that to convince my own heart, my own head. I'd say it out loud to them, but internally I'm like, listen up, sister.
You can do this.
You are meant for this job.
Yeah.
Right. So I would encourage you as well. Like, God gave you the kids he gave you, or will give you the kids he will give you. And you need to know those kids are suited to be under your tutelage, under your guidance. They are meant for you, and you are anointed as a mom, as a dad, for the job of parenting those kids. Yeah. So helping them grow to be healthy adults is a big value.
Absolutely.
Helping them know they are loved. And huge. Knowing that you are anointed for this job as a parent. Yeah. You can do this, and you can go completely cross-culture, against normal culture, and you can still parent really well and do what's in your heart, what God leads you to do.
Yep.
And that is part one.
Yeah. Send us your questions.
We definitely need to do it.
Yeah, because this is a big deal. This is probably as a parent, this is one of the most important jobs you'll have. There are other very important ones, but this is a very important job in life. So send us your questions if you're wondering things or thoughts or ideas or whatever, because I do think this warrants part 2. Yeah. Coming down the road at some point.
Yeah, because there are some things specifically that culture is saying right now that isn't true.
Yeah, we want to pay attention to what God says, right? So, so we really do need to do part 2. But for now, there you go. There's part 1 on parenting, and I do mean that. Send us your questions, your ideas, your thoughts, and we maybe can feed those into part 2. But for now, thank you so much for watching. We love coming to you with awkward conversations, and we'll see you next time. Okay, so somebody left a comment on one of the videos with this question. If you were an animal, what animal would you be? I have to say a cat. I love cats, from our little house cats to the big ones. And you know why I like them? They're strong, they're independent, they're unpredictable at times. They have attitude. I think I'd like to be a cat because I think I'm not that way as much as I think I would like to be. So
I was sitting
it's kind of a back end way into, I kind of wish I was more that way. So I think that's what I would want to be, not what I actually am. So there you go. I answered it the way I want to answer. That's an answer. It's an answer.
Man, this is hard for me. I don't love peacocks, but I think I am probably very peacock-esque. They like to show their greatness. They have attitude. They can be very moody. And
they're beautiful.
I don't think.
No, seriously.
I don't think I'm moody in the sense of like, who knows what mood I'm going to be in that day. But I do get very passionate about things.
You do.
So I can very much have an attitude. The other thing that I have been compared to is an otter who's just like lots of fun, like lots of, craziness. You never know what they're going to do. Like just, goofy, silly, fun. So.
Well, there you go.
That's it, I guess.
All right. So please like and subscribe. Help other people be aware of all this great thing. Ring the bell so you get the notifications. Thank you.
Oh, God, this really would irritate me, but probably more of like a dog, I guess. It's that really stuff.
Well, I'm not thrilled about being a peacock.
Okay.